Chapter 1. Chapter 1. The Call to Adventure. The chill of autumn hung in the air, a crisp reminder of the season's inevitable shift. Leaves crunched underfoot as Brad, Paige, Mary-Kate, and Caitlin huddled together on the porch of the old Whitmore house, their laughter mingling with the distant echoes of children's shrieks and the rustle of wind through the trees. Just a year ago, they had gathered here for a different reason, a celebration of friendship and the thrill of Halloween. But this year, the absence of their friend Ashley loomed over them like a heavy fog, dampening their spirits. "Do you remember the last time we were all together?" Mary-Kate asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The flickering candlelight from the jack-o'-lanterns cast ghostly shadows on her face, accentuating the sadness in her eyes. Ashley was so excited about the haunted house. "Yeah, she was the one who dared us to go in first," Caitlin added, her fingers nervously twisting the hem of her sweater. "I can't believe it has been a whole year since she disappeared." Brad shifted uncomfortably, the weight of their shared grief settling heavily on his shoulders. "We shouldn't dwell on it," he said, trying to sound reassuring, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. "It's Halloween. We should be celebrating, not mourning." Paige, who had been silent until now, looked up, her eyes glinting with a mix of determination and something else. Something deeper. "What if we did something? What if we tried to find her?" The words hung in the air, thick with possibility. The others turned to her, surprise etched on their faces. "Find her," Caitlin echoed, her brow furrowing. "How? She's been gone for so long." "I don't know," Paige admitted, her voice rising with fervor. "But we can't just sit here and do nothing. We owe it to her. We owe it to ourselves." Mary-Kate's eyes widened, a flicker of hope igniting within her. "You mean, go into the forest? The one where she disappeared?" "Yes," Paige exclaimed, her heart racing. "There's a legend about a mirror hidden deep in those woods. They say it can show you the truth, even bring people back. What if we find it? What if it leads us to Ashley?" Brad's expression darkened, a mix of concern and fear. "You really think that's a good idea? The forest is dangerous, especially at night. We could get lost, or worse. Or we could find her," Paige countered, her voice steady. "We can't let fear hold us back. We have to try." The air crackled with tension as the group exchanged glances, each weighing the risks against the flickering flame of hope that Paige had ignited. Finally, Mary-Kate nodded slowly, her resolve solidifying. "I'm in. We can't just leave her out there." Caitlin hesitated, biting her lip. "What if we don't find her? What if we find something worse? Then we'll face it together," Brad said, his voice firm. "We've always had each other's backs. If we're going to do this, we need to stick together." With a collective breath, they made their decision. The night was dark and foreboding as they stepped off the porch, the chill of the air wrapping around them like a shroud. The path to the forest was overgrown, the moonlight barely penetrating the thick canopy of branches overhead. Shadows danced around them, and the distant hoot of an owl sent shivers down their spines. As they entered the woods, the atmosphere shifted. The familiar sounds of their small town faded away, replaced by the rustling of leaves and the occasional snap of a twig underfoot. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, a reminder of the life that thrived in the darkness. "Do you really think the mirror exists?" Caitlin asked, her voice trembling slightly as they walked deeper into the forest. "I don't know," Paige admitted, her heart pounding in her chest. "But we have to believe it does. It's the only thing we have left." Brad walked beside her, his brow furrowed in thought. "What if it doesn't work? What if we just end up lost?" "Then we'll find our way back," Mary-Kate said, her voice steady. "We can't let fear stop us. Not now." As they ventured further, The trees loomed overhead like ancient sentinels, their gnarled branches reaching out as if to ensnare the unwary. The moonlight filtered through the leaves, casting eerie patterns on the ground. Each step felt heavier, the weight of their mission pressing down on them. Suddenly, a rustling sound broke the silence, and they all froze, hearts racing. "What was that?" Caitlin whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "Probably just a deer," Brad said, though his voice lacked conviction. "Or something worse," Paige murmured, her mind racing with the stories they had heard about the forest. Tales of lost souls and vengeful spirits. "Let's keep moving," Mary-Kate urged, her voice barely above a whisper. "We can't turn back now." They pressed on, the tension palpable as they navigated the twisting paths. The deeper they went, the more the forest seemed to close in around them, the shadows growing darker and more oppressive. After what felt like hours, they stumbled upon a clearing, the moonlight spilling into the open space like a beacon. In the center stood a large, twisted tree, its bark gnarled and ancient. "This must be it," Paige said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The mirror has to be nearby." They spread out, searching the area, their breaths coming in quick bursts as anxiety coursed through them. Brad approached the tree, running his fingers over the rough bark. "I don't see anything," he said, frustration creeping into his tone. "Maybe it is hidden," Caitlin suggested, her eyes scanning the ground. "Or maybe it is just a myth." "No," Paige insisted, her voice rising with urgency. "It has to be here. We can't give up now." Just then, Mary-Kate let out a gasp, pointing toward a cluster of bushes at the edge of the clearing. "Look! Over there." They rushed over, hearts pounding with anticipation. As they parted the branches, a glimmer of silver caught their eyes. A small, ornate mirror, half buried in the leaves. Its surface was cracked and tarnished, but it still held an otherworldly beauty. "Is this it?" Caitlin asked, her voice trembling as she reached out to touch it. Paige nodded, her heart racing. "This is it. This is our chance." As they gathered around the mirror, the air grew thick with tension. Each of them felt the weight of their hopes. Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Into the darkness. The moon hung high in the sky, a silver coin tossed into an inky well, illuminating the path ahead as Brad, Paige, Mary-Kate, and Caitlin ventured deeper into the forest. The chill of Halloween night clung to their skin, a reminder of the ghosts they sought to confront. Just hours before, they had gathered in the dim light of Paige's living room, sharing laughter and stories about Ashley, their lost friend. Paige's voice had risen above the others, filled with a fierce determination that ignited a spark in each of them. "We have to find her," she had said, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. And now, with every step they took into the darkness, that resolve felt both exhilarating and terrifying. As they moved forward, the atmosphere thickened, the air heavy with an unsettling silence that pressed against their ears. The trees loomed like ancient sentinels, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. Shadows danced at the edges of their vision, and the faint rustle of leaves seemed to whisper secrets long forgotten. "Hey, did you guys hear that?" Caitlin's voice trembled slightly, her eyes darting around as if expecting something to leap out from the underbrush. "It's just the wind," Brad replied, attempting to inject some levity into the situation. He flashed a grin, though it faltered under the weight of the forest's oppressive quiet. "Or maybe it is the ghost of Ashley, here to haunt us for not visiting her sooner." Mary-Kate rolled her eyes, though a small smile tugged at her lips. "Very funny, Brad. Just what we need. Ashley's ghost to guide us to her own grave." "Come on, lighten up," Brad insisted, his voice a little too loud, echoing against the trees. "We're on a mission. We're practically heroes in a horror movie. What could possibly go wrong?" Paige shot him a look, her brow furrowed in concentration. This isn't a joke, Brad. We're here for a reason. We need to keep Ashley's memory alive, not make fun of it. The group fell into a contemplative silence, each lost in their own thoughts of Ashley. They remembered her laughter, the way her eyes sparkled when she spoke about her dreams, and the warmth she brought to their lives. The memories were bittersweet, a reminder of what they had lost and what they were fighting to reclaim. As they pressed on, the path narrowed, overgrown with brambles that clawed at their clothes. The moonlight flickered through the canopy above, casting eerie patterns on the ground. The deeper they went, the more the forest seemed to close in around them, as if it were alive, breathing, watching. "Do you think we'll really find the mirror?" Caitlin asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if it is just a myth?" Paige paused, turning to face her friends. "It's not a myth. I believe it is real. If there's any chance it can bring Ashley back, we have to try." Mary-Kate nodded, her expression resolute. "We owe it to her. She wouldn't have given up on us." Brad, sensing the tension, tried to lighten the mood again. "Okay, but if we find a creepy old lady guarding the mirror, I'm out. I'm not ready to be cursed for eternity." "Shut up, Brad," Caitlin said, though a smile broke through her fear. "You're not going anywhere." They continued onward, the silence settling back around them, thicker than before. Each step felt heavier, the weight of their mission pressing down on their shoulders. The forest seemed to shift, shadows elongating and twisting as they moved, and the air grew colder, biting at their skin. Suddenly, they stumbled into a clearing, the moonlight spilling into the space like a spotlight. The ground was littered with fallen leaves, their colors muted in the dim light. In the center stood an ornate mirror, its frame twisted and gnarled, as if it had been pulled from the very heart of the forest. The glass was dark, reflecting nothing but the shadows around it. "Is that it?" Mary-Kate breathed, her voice a mix of awe and fear. "It looks ancient," Caitlin said, stepping closer, her heart racing. "Do you think it really holds the key to Ashley?" Brad, unable to contain his curiosity, moved forward. "Let's find out." He reached out, his fingers brushing against the cool surface of the mirror. In that moment, the air crackled with energy, a low hum vibrating through the ground. The mirror shimmered, and for a heartbeat, it seemed to pulse with life. Then, with a sudden, jarring crash, Brad stumbled backward, colliding with the frame. The mirror shattered, shards of glass exploding outward like 1,000 tiny stars. "Brad!" Paige screamed, rushing to his side as he fell to the ground, the shards glinting ominously in the moonlight. "I'm fine," he insisted, though his voice wavered. He looked up, eyes wide with shock. "I didn't mean to." But before he could finish, the air around them shifted. A gust of wind swept through the clearing, swirling the shards of glass into a vortex. The sound was deafening, a cacophony of whispers rising and falling like a tide. The forest seemed to come alive, the trees bending and swaying as if in response to an unseen force. "What's happening?" Caitlin cried, her voice rising in panic. "Get back!" Mary-Kate shouted, pulling Caitlin away from the swirling chaos. Paige stood frozen, her gaze locked on the mirror's remnants. Within the chaos, she thought she saw a figure forming, a silhouette emerging from the shards. It flickered in and out of existence, a haunting echo of someone they knew. "Is that?" Brad's voice trailed off, his eyes wide with disbelief. The figure solidified, and for a moment, Paige's heart soared. It looked like Ashley, her familiar features illuminated by the moonlight. But then the image warped, twisting into something darker, more sinister. The whispers grew louder, drowning out their thoughts, filling the air with a sense of dread. "Run!" Paige shouted, breaking the spell that held them captive. She grabbed Brad's arm, pulling him to his feet as the vortex intensified, shards of glass flying dangerously close. They stumbled back, retreating from the clearing as the wind howled around them. The forest felt alive, the trees closing in, branches reaching out like claws. The whispers morphed into anguished cries, echoing through the night, and the shadows deepened, swallowing the light. What was that? Caitlin gasped, her breath coming in quick, panicked bursts as they raced away from the clearing. I don't know. Brad panted, glancing back over his shoulder. But we need to get out of here. They ran, the forest a blur of darkness and fear. The path twisted and turned. Chapter 3. Chapter 3. The Mirror's Secret. The forest loomed around them, a tapestry of shadows and whispers, as the four friends stood in the clearing, their breath mingling with the cool night air. Just moments ago, they had been laughing and reminiscing about Ashley, their lost friend, but that laughter had shattered like the mirror Brad had accidentally crashed into. Now, the shards lay scattered on the ground, glimmering faintly under the pale moonlight, each piece a fragment of their hope and fear. Did you hear that? Caitlin whispered, her voice trembling as she stepped closer to the remnants of the mirror. The shards pulsed with an ethereal glow, casting flickering reflections that danced across their faces. It's like, it is alive. Yeah, it is just glass, Brad replied, though his bravado faltered as he took a step back, his eyes darting nervously around the clearing. Right. But the air was thick with something unnameable, a tension that prickled at their skin. Mary-Kate knelt down, her fingers brushing against a shard, and as she did, the voice emerged. A soft, melodic whisper that seemed to resonate from the very core of the shattered mirror. Remember her, it urged, echoing in the stillness. Remember Ashley, and stay focused on your goal. Paige felt a shiver run down her spine, a mixture of excitement and dread. What does that mean? She asked, her heart racing. What goal? The mirror's glow intensified, illuminating the clearing with a ghostly light. You can jump through the mirror to rescue her, the voice continued, each word laced with urgency. But you must act quickly. Time is running out. Jump through the mirror. Brad echoed incredulously, his brow furrowing. Are we seriously considering this? Why not? Paige shot back, her eyes gleaming with determination. This is our chance to find Ashley. We can't just stand here. Mary-Kate looked between them, her expression torn. But what if it is dangerous? What if we get trapped? Or worse, Caitlin added, her voice barely above a whisper. What if we never come back? The weight of their fears hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Yet, amidst the uncertainty, a flicker of hope ignited within Paige. We owe it to her, she insisted, her voice steady. Ashley wouldn't want us to give up. We have to try. Brad sighed, running a hand through his hair, his bravado slipping. Okay, but if we do this, we need a plan. We can't just jump in blindly. Agreed, Mary-Kate said, her eyes narrowing as she considered the implications. We need to remember everything about Ashley. The more we remember, the stronger our connection will be. Caitlin nodded, her expression softening. We can do this together. We just have to stay focused on her. As they gathered in a huddle, the glow from the mirror pulsed rhythmically, almost as if it were alive, urging them forward. They began to share their memories of Ashley, each story weaving a tapestry of laughter and love that enveloped them like a warm embrace. I remember the time she dressed up as a witch for Halloween, Brad chuckled, a smile breaking through his anxiety. She was so into it, she even made her own broomstick. Or when she tried to bake cookies for the bake sale and ended up setting the kitchen on fire, Caitlin added, her laughter mingling with the others. I thought we'd never get the smoke out of the house. Mary-Kate's eyes glistened with unshed tears. She was always so full of life. I can't believe she's gone. Paige felt a lump in her throat as she recalled Ashley's infectious laughter, the way it could light up even the darkest days. We have to bring her back, she said, her voice firm. We can't let her be forgotten. The mirror shimmered in response, the shards vibrating with energy as if they were resonating with their memories. The voice returned, more insistent this time. You must decide. Time is fleeting. Choose now. Okay, Brad said, his voice steadier now. On 3, we jump. 1, 2. Wait. Caitlin interrupted, her eyes wide with fear. What if we don't come back? What if we get lost in there? Then we'll find each other, Paige reassured her, squeezing Caitlin's hand. We're stronger together. We can't let fear hold us back. 3. Brad shouted, and without waiting for a response, he leapt forward, diving into the shimmering shards. Paige followed, her heart pounding in her chest. Mary-Kate and Caitlin exchanged a glance, a silent agreement passing between them, and then they too jumped, the world around them dissolving into a kaleidoscope of colors and light. Dash dash dash. They landed with a thud on a soft, mossy ground, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and wildflowers. The forest around them was transformed, vibrant and alive, the trees towering above like ancient guardians. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows that danced around them. Where are we? Caitlin asked, her voice a mixture of awe and confusion. She brushed a hand through her hair, trying to orient herself. I think we're still in the forest, Mary-Kate replied, squinting at the unfamiliar landscape. But it feels different. Magical, almost. Look. Brad pointed ahead, where a faint glimmer caught his eye. That must be the way. They moved cautiously, the ground soft beneath their feet, each step echoing with the promise of discovery. As they approached the source of the light, they found themselves in front of another mirror, larger and more ornate than the one they had shattered. Its surface rippled like water, reflecting not just their images but fragments of memories. Laughter, tears, and moments shared with Ashley. Is this where we find her? Paige whispered, her heart racing. The voice returned, now clearer and more resonant. To find Ashley, you must confront your fears and embrace the truth of your memories. Only then will she reveal herself. What does that mean? Brad asked, his brow furrowing in confusion. It means we have to face what we've been avoiding, Mary-Kate said slowly, her voice trembling. We need to confront our feelings about Ashley's disappearance. Caitlin's eyes widened. But what if we can't? What if it is too painful? Then we do it together, Paige said firmly, stepping closer to the mirror. We can't let fear stop us from finding her. As they gathered around the mirror, the surface began to swirl, revealing images of Ashley. Her smile, her laughter, the way she lit up a room. But then the images shifted, darkening, showing moments of pain and confusion, the day she disappeared, the frantic search, the unanswered questions. Chapter 4. Chapter 4. The tournament begins. The forest loomed around them, a dark tapestry woven with shadows and whispers. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, a reminder of the autumn chill that had settled in. Just moments ago, they had stood in a clearing, the shattered remnants of the mirror glowing ominously at their feet. The voice that had emerged from the shards still echoed in their minds, urging them to remember Ashley, to focus on their mission. Now, as they prepared to leap into the unknown, a mix of excitement and dread coursed through the group. Paige, her heart racing, glanced at her friends. Are we really doing this? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The determination that had sparked in her earlier was now tinged with uncertainty. Of course we are, Mary-Kate replied, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and exhilaration. We can't leave Ashley behind. We have to try. Caitlin, usually the most pragmatic of the group, shifted nervously from foot to foot. But what if something goes wrong? What if we can't come back? Brad, sensing the rising tension, stepped forward, a grin breaking through the seriousness of the moment. Okay, let's not panic. How about we make this a little more fun? He raised his arms dramatically, as if he were about to announce a grand event. I propose a tournament. A tournament, Paige echoed, her brow furrowing in confusion. Yeah, a tournament to see who can jump into my arms the most times before we go through the mirror. It'll lighten the mood. Brad's enthusiasm was infectious, and despite their fears, a ripple of laughter broke through the tension. Caitlin crossed her arms, a skeptical smile playing on her lips. You think we're going to jump into your arms like some kind of game? Absolutely. It's a great way to distract ourselves from the impending doom, he said, winking at her. And besides, I could use the practice. You girls are all so light, I might just float away. Mary-Kate giggled, her earlier anxiety momentarily forgotten. All right, I'm in, but I want to go first. Fine, but let's set some ground rules, Brad said, his tone shifting to mock seriousness. No tackling, no shoving, and definitely no crying if you fall. We're all friends here, right? Right. The girls chorused, their spirits lifting as they gathered in a loose circle around him. Okay, Mary-Kate, you're up, Brad called, stepping back to give her room. With a determined nod, Mary-Kate took a few steps back, her heart pounding in her chest. She focused on Brad, who stood with his arms wide open, a playful grin on his face. She took a deep breath, her mind racing with thoughts of Ashley, and then sprinted forward, leaping into the air. Catch me! She shouted, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. Brad braced himself, his arms outstretched, and as she soared toward him, he felt a rush of adrenaline. He caught her effortlessly, spinning her around as laughter erupted from the others. See? Easy peasy, he declared, setting her down gently. Mary-Kate beamed, her cheeks flushed with excitement. That was amazing. Who's next? Caitlin stepped forward, a mischievous glint in her eyes. I'll show you how it is done. She took a few steps back, her confidence radiating as she prepared for her turn. Just don't break my arms. Brad joked, feigning a look of concern. Caitlin charged at him, her laughter mingling with the rustling leaves as she leapt into his arms. This time, however, she miscalculated her landing, and they both tumbled to the ground in a heap of limbs and giggles. Okay, that was not part of the plan. Brad laughed, trying to catch his breath as he lay sprawled on the forest floor, Caitlin half on top of him. Oops. My bad, she said, her face flushed with embarrassment and amusement. All right, I'll give you half a point for style, he said, grinning up at her. Paige watched the two of them, a smile creeping onto her face despite the weight of their mission. I guess it is my turn now, she said, stepping forward. Bring it on, Brad called, his eyes sparkling with mischief. Paige took a deep breath, her heart racing as she prepared to jump. She felt a surge of determination, not just for herself but for Ashley. With a burst of energy, she leapt into the air, and Brad caught her with ease. See? You've got this, he encouraged, setting her down gently. As the tournament continued, the forest filled with laughter and playful banter, the earlier tension slowly dissipating. Each girl took her turn, and with every leap, they shared stories and memories of Ashley, weaving her spirit into their playful competition. Remember that time Ashley tried to bake cookies and ended up setting off the smoke alarm? Mary-Kate laughed, her eyes sparkling with nostalgia. Or when she convinced us to dress up as superheroes for Halloween, and we ended up looking like a bunch of clowns. Caitlin added, shaking her head in disbelief. Hey, I thought we looked great. Brad chimed in, feigning offense. I still have that cape somewhere. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the clearing, the atmosphere shifted. The laughter began to fade, replaced by a sense of urgency. They were still standing on the precipice of something unknown, and the reality of their mission loomed over them like a dark cloud. Okay, last round, Brad said, his voice taking on a more serious tone. We need to focus. We're doing this for Ashley. The girls nodded, their smiles fading as they remembered why they were there. The tournament had been a welcome distraction, but now the weight of their task settled heavily on their shoulders. Who's going to go last? Caitlin asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I will, Paige said, her heart racing. I need to do this. Are you sure? Mary-Kate asked, concern etched on her face. Paige nodded, determination shining in her eyes. I have to. For Ashley. Brad stepped back, giving her space. All right, Paige. Whenever you're ready. Paige took a deep breath, her mind racing with thoughts of Ashley. She could almost hear her friends' laughter, feel her presence surrounding them. With each step back, she felt the weight of their memories pushing her forward. As she sprinted toward Brad, the world around her blurred. She leapt into the air, feeling the rush of wind against her skin, and for a moment, she felt free. Brad caught her, and as he spun her around. Chapter 5. Chapter 5. The unexpected twist. The forest loomed around them, a tapestry of shadows and whispers, as the four friends stood at the edge of the clearing. The air was thick with anticipation, the remnants of laughter still echoing in their ears from the impromptu tournament that had turned their fear into a moment of levity. Brad, still reeling from the chaotic embrace of his friends, felt the weight of their mission pressing down on him. They had come here to find Ashley, to bring her back from the depths of the unknown, and yet, amidst the laughter, they had almost lost sight of that goal. Okay, everyone, focus. Caitlin exclaimed, her voice cutting through the lingering echoes of their playful competition. She brushed a stray lock of hair behind her ear, her brow furrowed with determination. We need to remember why we're here. Right, Paige added, her eyes darting nervously to the shards of the shattered mirror that still glowed faintly on the ground. Ashley needs us. We can't let ourselves get distracted. Just as Caitlin prepared to jump into Brad's arms again, the mirror's voice boomed once more, resonating through the clearing like a thunderclap. Remember Ashley. Stay focused on your mission. The suddenness of the voice sent a shiver down their spines, and in the chaos of the moment, Mary-Kate, caught up in the frenzy, leapt into Brad's arms, her laughter ringing out like a bell. I'm not missing out on this, she declared, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Brad stumbled back, caught off guard by the unexpected weight of Mary-Kate. Whoa! I didn't sign up for this, he exclaimed, his heart racing as he struggled to maintain his balance. The laughter that erupted from the others was infectious, but it also served as a stark reminder of their purpose. Guys, we're losing it, Caitlin said, her voice tinged with urgency. This isn't a game. We need to jump through the mirror. Right, Paige said, her expression shifting from playful to serious. Let's declare the tournament a tie. We're all in this together, and our friendship is what matters most. The laughter faded, replaced by a collective understanding that hung in the air like the mist swirling around their feet. They were bound by more than just memories. They were united by a shared purpose, a mission that transcended their individual fears. Okay, so who's going first? Brad asked, trying to inject a sense of normalcy back into the moment. He felt the weight of Mary-Kate still in his arms, her warmth radiating against him, and for a fleeting second, he wondered if this was how it felt to be a hero in a story. Caught between friendship and something deeper. I'll go, Caitlin said, stepping forward with a newfound resolve. We can't waste any more time. She glanced at the mirror, its shards glimmering like stars scattered across the forest floor. Ashley is waiting for us. Just remember to hold on tight, Brad said, his voice softer now, laced with an unspoken promise. He set Mary-Kate down gently, and she flashed him a grateful smile, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Caitlin took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest as she approached the mirror. The glowing shards pulsed with an otherworldly light, and she could almost hear Ashley's laughter echoing in her mind. I'm coming for you, Ash, she whispered, her voice barely audible above the rustling leaves. With a determined stride, Caitlin leapt into the mirror, her form disappearing into the shimmering light. The others held their breath, the air thick with anticipation. A moment later, the mirror rippled, and Caitlin's voice emerged, faint but clear. It's beautiful. You have to come. Mary-Kate, you're next. Paige urged, her eyes wide with excitement and fear. We can't let her go alone. Mary-Kate nodded, her expression shifting from playful to resolute. I'm ready. She stepped forward, glancing back at Brad, who offered her an encouraging smile. I'll see you on the other side, she said, her voice steady. With that, she jumped into the mirror, her laughter trailing behind her like a comet's tail. The mirror shimmered again, and for a moment, it felt as if the forest itself held its breath, waiting for the next leap of faith. Okay, Paige, it is just us now, Brad said, his heart racing. He could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him, the urgency of their mission igniting a fire within him. We can't hesitate. We have to go. Paige nodded, her eyes glistening with determination. Together, she said, reaching for his hand. On three. On three, Brad confirmed, squeezing her hand tightly. 1, 2, 3. They jumped together, the world around them dissolving into a kaleidoscope of colors and sounds. For a brief moment, they were weightless, suspended in time, before the mirror enveloped them in its embrace. Dash dash dash. When they landed, it was as if they had stepped into a dream. The air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers, and the sky above them was a brilliant shade of lavender, streaked with golden rays of sunlight. They stood in a vast meadow, the grass swaying gently in the breeze, and in the distance, they could see a shimmering lake reflecting the vibrant colors of the sky. Where are we? Paige asked, her voice filled with awe as she took in the breathtaking landscape. I don't know, but it feels magical, Brad replied, his heart racing with excitement. We have to find Caitlin and Mary-Kate. As they began to walk, the sound of laughter echoed through the meadow, a familiar melody that tugged at their hearts. Ashley. Paige called out, her voice trembling with hope. Over here, came a voice, and they turned to see Caitlin and Mary-Kate running toward them, their faces alight with joy. We found her, Caitlin exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. She's just beyond the lake. Brad's heart soared at the news, and he felt a rush of adrenaline as they raced toward the water's edge. The lake shimmered like 1,000 diamonds, and as they approached, they could see a figure standing at the far side, silhouetted against the radiant light. Ashley. Paige shouted, her voice breaking with emotion. She took off running, her feet pounding against the soft earth, and Brad followed closely behind, his heart pounding in his chest. As they reached the edge of the lake, the figure turned, and for a moment, time stood still. Ashley stood before them, her hair flowing like a cascade of sunlight, her smile radiant and warm. You came for me, she said, her voice a melody that wrapped around them like a comforting embrace. Ashley. Paige cried, tears streaming down her cheeks as she rushed forward to envelop her friend in a tight hug. Chapter 6. Chapter 6. Regaining focus. The laughter that had echoed through the clearing began to fade, replaced by a heavy silence that hung in the air like a thick fog. Brad, Paige, Mary-Kate, and Caitlin stood in a circle, the remnants of their playful antics still lingering in their eyes, but the gravity of their mission loomed larger than ever. Just moments ago, they had been caught in a whirlwind of laughter and competition, but now, the shattered pieces of the mirror glowed ominously at their feet, a reminder of the task ahead. They had come here to find Ashley, their lost friend, and the urgency of their quest pressed down on them like the weight of the night sky. "Okay, let's get serious," Paige said, her voice steadying as she took a deep breath. "We need to focus. Ashley is counting on us." Mary-Kate nodded, her brow furrowed with determination. "Right. No more games. We're here for a reason." She glanced at the shards of the mirror, which shimmered with an otherworldly light, casting strange reflections of their faces. "We need to jump through together. It's the only way." Caitlin squeezed Brad's hand, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and excitement. "What if we get lost? What if we can't find our way back?" Brad, sensing the rising tension, offered a reassuring smile. "We'll find a way. We always do. Together." He looked at each of them, his gaze lingering on Paige, who had sparked this journey with her courage. "We just have to remember why we're doing this." With a collective nod, they formed a tight circle, their hands clasped together. The warmth of their connection steadied their racing hearts. The mirror's voice echoed in their minds, urging them to remember Ashley, to stay focused. They could feel the pull of the unknown, a magnetic force drawing them toward the shimmering portal. "On three," Brad suggested, his voice breaking the silence. "On three," Paige agreed, her grip tightening around Caitlin's hand. 1, 2, 3. They leapt forward, the world around them blurring into a kaleidoscope of colors as they plunged through the mirror. The sensation was like diving into a pool of liquid light, the air crackling with energy. For a brief moment, they felt weightless, suspended in time, before they landed with a soft thud on a surface that felt both familiar and alien. As they stood up, the world around them shifted. They found themselves in a vast landscape that defied logic. The sky was a swirling canvas of purples and blues, dotted with stars that twinkled like diamonds. Trees with iridescent leaves swayed gently, their branches reaching out as if to welcome them into this strange realm. The air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers, sweet and intoxicating, yet there was an undercurrent of something darker, a whisper of danger that sent shivers down their spines. "Where are we?" Caitlin breathed, her eyes wide with wonder and fear. "I don't know," Brad replied, scanning the horizon. "But we need to keep moving. Ashley could be anywhere." Paige stepped forward, her heart racing. "Look." She pointed to a path that wound through the trees, illuminated by a soft, golden light. "That way. It feels right." The group exchanged glances, a silent agreement passing between them. They followed the path, the ground beneath their feet soft and springy, as if they were walking on a bed of moss. The sounds of the forest enveloped them. Gentle rustling, distant chimes, and the occasional echo of laughter that felt hauntingly familiar. As they walked, the atmosphere shifted again, becoming more surreal. The trees began to twist and bend, their trunks spiraling like candy canes. Flowers bloomed in vibrant colors, their petals shimmering as if dusted with stardust. It was beautiful, yet unsettling, and the friends couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. "Do you guys feel that?" Mary-Kate asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Like something is following us." Brad nodded, his instincts on high alert. "Yeah. We need to stay close together." Suddenly, a rustling sound broke the tranquility, and they all froze. From behind a cluster of trees, a figure emerged. A tall, shadowy silhouette that seemed to flicker in and out of existence. The friends exchanged nervous glances, their hearts pounding in unison. "Who's there?" Paige called out, her voice steady despite the fear gripping her. The figure stepped closer, revealing a young woman with long, flowing hair that shimmered like silver. Her eyes glowed with an ethereal light, and she wore a dress made of leaves and petals that seemed to change color with every movement. "I am Lyra," she said, her voice melodic yet haunting. "Guardian of this realm. You seek Ashley, do you not?" "Yes," Caitlin exclaimed, stepping forward. "We need to find her. Can you help us?" Lyra tilted her head, studying them with an intensity that made Caitlin shiver. "To find her, you must first confront your fears. This realm reflects your innermost thoughts. Only by facing what you hide can you hope to rescue her." "What do you mean?" Mary-Kate asked, her brow furrowing. "What fears?" Lyra raised a hand, and the air shimmered around them, revealing a series of images. Each friend's deepest insecurities laid bare. Brad saw himself standing alone, abandoned by those he loved. Paige faced a vision of Ashley, her smile fading as she slipped away into darkness. Mary-Kate was surrounded by shadows, her voice silenced, while Caitlin stood frozen, unable to move as the world crumbled around her. "No," Caitlin cried, covering her eyes. "This isn't real." "It is real," Lyra said softly. "You must confront these fears together. Only then can you find the strength to bring Ashley back." The friends huddled together, their breaths quickening as the weight of their fears pressed down on them. "I can't lose you guys," Brad admitted, his voice trembling. "I've already lost Ashley. I can't bear the thought of losing anyone else." Paige stepped closer, her eyes fierce with determination. "We won't lose each other. We're stronger together. We have to believe that." Mary-Kate nodded, her voice steadier now. "We've faced challenges before. This is just another one. We can do this." Caitlin took a deep breath, her heart racing. "Okay. Let's face our fears. Together." Lyra smiled, a glimmer of approval in her eyes. "Then step forward, one by one. Embrace what you fear, and you will find the path to Ashley." Brad stepped forward first, his heart pounding as he faced the vision of his loneliness. "I'm not afraid of being alone," he declared, his voice stronger than he felt. "I have my friends. I won't let fear control me." Chapter 7. Chapter 7. Facing Challenges. The air was thick with anticipation as Brad, Paige, Mary-Kate, and Caitlin stepped through the shimmering remnants of the shattered mirror. The world around them transformed in an instant, the familiar woods of their small town dissolving into a surreal landscape that pulsed with an otherworldly glow. Shadows danced at the edges of their vision, and the air crackled with an electric tension that sent shivers down their spines. In the previous chapter, they had gathered their courage, united by the memory of their lost friend Ashley, and ventured into the forest, determined to find her. The mirror had promised a way to rescue her, but now, standing in this strange dimension, the weight of their mission pressed heavily on their shoulders. "Okay, so, what now?" Caitlin asked, her voice barely above a whisper as she scanned their surroundings. The ground beneath their feet was a patchwork of colors, shifting from deep indigo to vibrant emerald, as if the earth itself was alive. "Let's stick together," Brad said, his tone steady despite the uncertainty swirling around them. "We can't lose sight of why we're here." Paige nodded, her brow furrowed in determination. "Ashley wouldn't want us to give up. We have to keep moving." Mary-Kate, ever the dreamer, gazed at the sky, where swirling clouds of lavender and gold twisted like ribbons. "It's beautiful," she murmured, but the beauty was tinged with an unsettling quality that made her heart race. As they ventured deeper into this alternate realm, the atmosphere shifted. The air grew heavier, and a low hum resonated around them, as if the very fabric of this world was alive and watching. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the air, deep and resonant, sending chills down their spines. To find what you seek, you must first face your fears. Only then will the path to Ashley reveal itself. What does that even mean? Caitlin exclaimed, her eyes wide with apprehension. Riddles, Brad said, his voice laced with a mix of excitement and dread. It's always riddles in these kinds of stories. Great, Paige replied, crossing her arms. Just what I wanted. More puzzles to solve. Before they could respond, the ground beneath them shifted, and a series of glowing platforms emerged, each one inscribed with a different riddle. The friends exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of determination and fear. Let's take it one at a time, Mary-Kate suggested, stepping forward. I'll go first. As she approached the nearest platform, the riddle glowed brighter, the words shimmering in the air. I can be cracked, made, told, and played. What am I? Mary-Kate's brow furrowed in concentration. A joke, she exclaimed, her voice ringing with confidence. The platform pulsed with light, and a path opened before her, leading deeper into the realm. The others cheered, relief washing over them. Nice one, Mary-Kate. Caitlin said, her smile brightening the eerie atmosphere. Who's next? Brad asked, glancing at the remaining platforms. I'll go, Caitlin said, stepping forward. She approached a platform that glowed with a soft blue light, the riddle appearing. The more you take, the more you leave behind. What am I? Caitlin's brow furrowed as she thought. Footsteps. The platform erupted in a burst of light, and another path opened. Yes. She shouted, her excitement infectious. Paige and Brad exchanged a glance, their hearts racing with the thrill of their progress. Okay, my turn, Brad said, stepping up to the next platform. The riddle glowed ominously. What has keys but can't open locks? He hesitated, his mind racing. A piano. The platform lit up, and a path unfurled before him. Yes. He shouted, pumping his fist in the air. Paige stepped forward, her heart pounding as she faced the final platform. The riddle glowed with an unsettling intensity. What is so fragile that saying its name breaks it? Her breath caught in her throat. Silence, she whispered, the answer coming to her like a distant echo. The platform glowed brightly, and the path opened wide, leading them onward. Great job, everyone, Brad said, his voice filled with pride. But as they moved forward, the ground beneath them trembled, and the air thickened with tension. Shadows flickered at the edges of their vision, whispering doubts and fears. Do you think we're really going to find Ashley? Caitlin asked, her voice trembling. We have to believe we will, Paige replied, her tone firm. We can't let fear stop us. As they pressed on, the landscape shifted again, revealing a series of illusions that played on their deepest insecurities. Suddenly, Caitlin found herself standing alone in a darkened space, the others nowhere in sight. The air was thick with despair, and she felt a familiar weight pressing down on her chest. Caitlin, a voice called, soft and haunting. It was Ashley's voice, echoing through the darkness. Why did you let me go? No, Caitlin shouted, shaking her head. I didn't let you go. I tried to find you. Did you? The voice taunted. You've always been afraid of losing people. You let fear control you. Tears streamed down Caitlin's cheeks as she fought against the illusion. No, I'm here for you. I won't give up. With a surge of determination, she closed her eyes and focused on the memories of Ashley. The laughter, the late-night talks, the dreams they had shared. When she opened her eyes, the darkness faded, and she found herself back with the group, who were watching her with concern. Caitlin, are you okay? Brad asked, his brow furrowed. I faced it, she said, her voice trembling but resolute. I won't let fear control me anymore. Good, Paige said, her eyes shining with pride. We're in this together. As they continued, Mary-Kate found herself confronted by her own fears. She stood in a field of mirrors, each one reflecting a different version of herself. Some confident, some broken, some lost. Look at you, one mirror sneered. You'll never be enough. No, Mary-Kate shouted, stepping forward. I am enough. I'm not defined by my fears. With each declaration, the mirrors shattered, and she felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Mary-Kate. Caitlin called, rushing to her side. You did it. I faced it, Mary-Kate said, her voice steady. Chapter 8. Chapter 8. The Heart of the Mirror. The air was thick with anticipation as Brad, Paige, Mary-Kate, and Caitlin stood at the threshold of the Heart of the Mirror. They had traversed a surreal landscape filled with riddles and illusions, each challenge forcing them to confront their deepest fears. The echoes of their laughter and the warmth of their friendship had guided them through the darkness, but now, as they approached the shimmering core of the mirror, a heavy silence enveloped them. The memory of Ashley lingered like a ghost, both a beacon of hope and a reminder of their loss. Are we really ready for this? Caitlin whispered, her voice barely breaking the stillness. The glow from the heart of the mirror cast soft shadows on her face, highlighting the uncertainty in her eyes. We have to be, Paige replied, her tone resolute. Ashley is in there. We can't leave her behind. Mary-Kate nodded, her expression a mix of determination and fear. We've come this far. We can't turn back now. Brad took a deep breath, his heart racing. Let's do this together. For Ashley. He reached for their hands, and one by one, they joined him, forming a circle of solidarity. The warmth of their connection pulsed through him, a reminder that they were stronger together. As they stepped closer to the heart of the mirror, the surface rippled like water disturbed by a stone. Within the depths, they could see a figure. A reflection of Ashley, trapped and ethereal, her features distorted by the shimmering light. She looked both familiar and foreign, her eyes wide with a mixture of hope and despair. Ashley! Paige cried, her voice breaking the silence. We're here. The reflection flickered, and for a moment, Ashley's face transformed into a mask of anguish. You shouldn't have come, she whispered, her voice echoing eerily. It's too dangerous. Dangerous. Brad scoffed, trying to mask his fear with bravado. We've faced worse. We're not leaving you here. But as he spoke, dark figures began to emerge from the shadows surrounding the heart of the mirror. They were formless at first, but as they drew closer, their shapes solidified into grotesque representations of the friends' insecurities. Caitlin's figure was a twisted version of herself, hunched and shadowy, embodying her self-doubt. Mary-Kate's was a reflection of her fear of failure, a looming giant that towered over her. Brad's figure was a monstrous version of himself, a reminder of his struggle to be the brave leader he felt he should be. And Paige's dark figure was a haunting specter of her fear of abandonment, its eyes hollow and cold. Face them. Ashley's voice rang out, filled with urgency. You must confront your fears to free me. The friends exchanged terrified glances, the weight of the moment pressing down on them. We can't let them win, Caitlin said, her voice trembling. They're just illusions. Right, Brad said, though doubt crept into his mind. We've faced worse. We can do this. Together, Paige added, squeezing Brad's hand tightly. We can't let them tear us apart. As the dark figures advanced, the friends instinctively huddled closer, their hands still linked. We need to declare our love and support for each other, Mary-Kate said, her voice steadying. It's the only way to dispel the darkness. Okay, Brad said, his heart pounding. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Together. They shouted in unison, their voices ringing out against the oppressive silence. We love each other. We support each other. The dark figures hesitated, their forms flickering as if caught in a gust of wind. The friends felt a surge of warmth radiate from their joined hands, a light that pushed back against the shadows. We're not afraid. Caitlin cried, her voice growing stronger. We're not alone. The figures recoiled, their forms distorting and twisting as the light intensified. You think you can defeat us? The shadow of Caitlin sneered, its voice a chilling echo of her own. You're nothing without your doubts. No, Caitlin shouted, her voice fierce. I am more than my fears. I am strong, and I have my friends. With each declaration, the shadows shrank back, their forms dissolving into wisps of darkness. You can't escape us. Brad's shadow roared, but the friends stood firm, their resolve unwavering. I am not defined by my mistakes. Brad shouted, his voice filled with conviction. I am brave, and I have my friends. I am not afraid of failing. Mary Kate added, her voice rising above the chaos. I am capable, and I have my friends. I am worthy of love. Paige cried, her heart swelling with emotion. I am not alone, and I have my friends. With each proclamation, the darkness around them began to dissipate, the light from their hands growing brighter and more radiant. The shadows writhed and twisted, their forms breaking apart like smoke in the wind. Together, they shouted once more, their voices harmonizing in a powerful crescendo. We are strong. We are united. We love each other. In a blinding flash of light, the dark figures shattered into a million pieces, dissolving into nothingness. The heart of the mirror pulsed with energy, and the reflection of Ashley began to solidify, her features becoming clearer, her eyes shining with hope. Ashley! Paige cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. We're here. We're coming for you. The light enveloped Ashley, and she reached out toward them, her expression a mixture of relief and joy. You did it. You faced your fears. As they stepped forward, the heart of the mirror began to crack, the surface shimmering with a kaleidoscope of colors. You must hurry. Ashley urged, her voice filled with urgency. The mirror won't hold for long. Hold on. Brad shouted, pulling the others closer. We're coming. With one final surge of energy, they leapt toward the heart of the mirror, their hands still linked. The world around them exploded into light, and for a moment, they felt weightless, suspended in a realm of pure energy. Then, with a rush of sensation, they were pulled through the mirror, tumbling into a new reality. They landed in a soft, grassy field, the sun shining brightly overhead. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers, and the sound of laughter echoed in the distance. As they looked around, they realized they were back in their hometown, standing in the park where they had spent countless summer days. Ashley! Caitlin called, her heart racing. Where are you? But as they turned, they saw her standing a few feet away, her smile radiant and her eyes sparkling with life. You found me! She exclaimed, her voice filled with joy. Chapter 9. Chapter 9. The Reunion. The air crackled with a strange energy as the friends stood hand in hand, their hearts pounding in unison. Just moments ago, they had confronted their darkest fears, shattering the dark figures that had threatened to consume them. Now, as the remnants of that darkness faded, the mirror's surface shimmered like a still lake, revealing a familiar face trapped within its depths. Ashley. The name hung in the air, a whispered prayer that ignited a spark of hope in their chests. They had come so far, traversing the surreal landscape of their own insecurities, and now, the moment they had longed for was finally within reach. On 3, Brad said, his voice steady despite the tremor of excitement coursing through him. 1, 2, 3. With a collective surge of determination, they stepped forward, their hands still clasped tightly together. The mirror rippled, and in an instant, they were engulfed in a blinding light. Dash dash dash. When the light receded, they found themselves standing in a familiar clearing, the forest around them alive with the sounds of rustling leaves and distant birdsong. But it was the figure before them that stole their breath away. Ashley stood there, her hair tousled and her eyes wide with disbelief. She looked just as they remembered. Her smile bright, yet tinged with a hint of sadness. "Guys," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Is it really you?" "Ashley!" Paige cried, breaking free from the group's circle and rushing forward. The others followed suit, enveloping Ashley in a tight embrace. Tears streamed down their faces as they held her, the warmth of their friendship wrapping around them like a protective cocoon. "I thought I'd never see you again," Mary-Kate sobbed, her voice muffled against Ashley's shoulder. "We've missed you so much." "I missed you too," Ashley replied, her voice thick with emotion. "I thought I was lost forever." As they pulled back, the friends took a moment to study Ashley, searching for signs of the ordeal she had endured. Her eyes held a depth of experience that hadn't been there before, a flicker of something unspoken lurking just beneath the surface. "What happened?" Caitlin asked, her brow furrowed with concern. "Where have you been?" Ashley hesitated, glancing at the mirror that had brought them together. "It's complicated. I was trapped in a place that felt like a nightmare. I could hear you all, but I couldn't reach you. I thought I'd never escape." The group fell silent, the weight of her words settling heavily in the air. They had fought so hard to bring her back, and now that she was here, the reality of her experience loomed large. "Whatever it was, you're safe now," Brad said, his voice firm. "We're together again, and that's what matters." Ashley smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "I'm grateful, really. But I need you to understand. It wasn't just a nightmare. It was real. I faced things I didn't even know I was afraid of." "What do you mean?" Paige asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ashley took a deep breath, her gaze drifting to the ground. "There were shadows. Things that tried to pull me under. They fed on my fears, my doubts. I thought I'd never escape them." The friends exchanged glances, the gravity of her words sinking in. They had faced their own fears to rescue her, but what had Ashley endured? "Did you see us?" Caitlin asked, her voice trembling. "Did you know we were trying to find you?" Ashley nodded slowly. "I could hear you. Your voices were like a lifeline. But the more I tried to reach out, the more the shadows pulled me away. I felt so alone." Brad stepped closer, his expression softening. "You're not alone anymore. We're here, and we're not going anywhere." Ashley's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I know. And I'm so grateful. But I need to be honest with you all. I'm not the same person I was before. I don't know if I can just go back to how things were." The group fell silent again, the weight of her confession hanging in the air. They had fought to bring her back, but what if the Ashley they knew was gone forever? "Whatever you need, we'll figure it out together," Mary-Kate said, her voice steady. "We're a team, remember?" Ashley smiled faintly, but the shadows of doubt still lingered in her eyes. "I want to believe that. I really do." "Then let's start fresh," Paige suggested, her voice brightening. "We've all changed, and that's okay. We can support each other through whatever comes next." "Yeah," Caitlin chimed in, her enthusiasm infectious. "We're stronger together. We've proven that." Ashley looked at each of them, her heart swelling with gratitude. "You're right. I just need time to process everything." "Take all the time you need," Brad said, his tone reassuring. "We're here for you, no matter what." As they stood together, the forest around them seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The shadows that had once loomed over them began to dissipate, replaced by the warm glow of friendship and love. But as the moment of reunion settled into a comfortable silence, a distant rumble echoed through the trees, sending a shiver down their spines. "What was that?" Caitlin asked, her eyes wide with apprehension. "I don't know," Brad replied, scanning the treetops. "But it doesn't sound good." Ashley's expression shifted, a flicker of recognition crossing her face. I think the shadows are still here. They're not gone." "What do you mean?" Mary-Kate asked, her voice rising in panic. "The mirror," Ashley said, her voice urgent. "It's not just a portal. It's a barrier. If we don't close it, the shadows will come through." The friends exchanged worried glances, the weight of their reunion suddenly overshadowed by the looming threat. "Then we have to act fast," Brad said, determination hardening his features. "We can't let them take you again, Ashley." "But how?" Paige asked, her voice trembling. "We just got you back." Ashley took a deep breath, her resolve solidifying. "We have to confront them together. We faced our fears once. We can do it again." "Together," Caitlin echoed, her voice steadying. "We can't let fear win." As they formed a circle once more, hands clasped tightly, the air around them began to shimmer with energy. The mirror's surface pulsed, reflecting their determination back at them. "Let's do this," Brad said, his voice strong. "For Ashley. For us." With a shared nod, they stepped toward the mirror, ready to face whatever darkness awaited them on the other side. Chapter 10. A new beginning. The air shimmered with the remnants of magic as Brad, Paige, Mary-Kate, Caitlin, and Ashley stood together in the heart of the mirror world. They had faced their fears, confronted the darkness that had threatened to tear them apart, and emerged victorious. The bond they shared felt unbreakable, forged in the fires of adversity. As they prepared to leave this surreal realm, the echoes of their laughter and tears still lingered in the air, a testament to their journey. "Can you believe we actually did it?" Caitlin said, her voice a mixture of disbelief and joy. She brushed a stray hair from her face, her eyes sparkling with the thrill of their triumph. "We saved Ashley. I knew we could," Paige replied, her tone steady, though her heart raced with the weight of their shared experience. "We just had to believe in each other." Brad, still reeling from the emotional roller coaster, glanced at Ashley, who stood at the center of their circle, her expression a blend of gratitude and wonder. "You're back," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "We really brought you back." Ashley smiled, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I never doubted you for a second. You guys are my family." She stepped forward, enveloping them all in a tight embrace, the warmth of their connection radiating through the group. As they pulled away, Mary-Kate looked around, her brow furrowed in thought. "What happens now? Do we just leave?" The question hung in the air, heavy with uncertainty. The mirror behind them shimmered, its surface rippling like water, beckoning them to step through. But the world they had just traversed felt alive, pulsing with energy and secrets yet to be uncovered. "I think we have to go back," Brad said, his voice firm. "We've faced so much together, and I don't want to leave anything behind." "Like what?" Caitlin asked, tilting her head, curiosity piqued. "Like the lessons we learned," he replied, glancing at each of them. "We've grown. We're stronger together. We can't forget that." Paige nodded, her heart swelling with pride for her friends. "We can take what we learned and use it in our lives. We can be better, for Ashley and for ourselves." "Yeah," Ashley added, her voice steady. "I want to remember this feeling. I don't want to go back to how things were before." As they stood together, contemplating their next move, the mirror's surface began to swirl, casting a kaleidoscope of colors around them. The air crackled with energy, and a low hum resonated through the clearing. "Look!" Mary-Kate exclaimed, pointing toward the mirror. Something's happening. The shimmering surface rippled violently, and a figure began to materialize, stepping through the veil of light. The friends instinctively huddled closer together, their hearts racing. The figure emerged, cloaked in shadows, their features obscured. "Who are you?" Brad called out, his voice steady despite the unease creeping into his chest. The figure paused, their voice smooth and melodic. "I am a guide, a keeper of the paths that lie ahead. You have done well to find each other and face the darkness, but your journey is far from over." "What do you mean?" Caitlin asked, her brow furrowing. "We just saved Ashley. Isn't that enough?" The figure stepped closer, the shadows swirling around them like a cloak. "The mirror world is but one of many. There are other realms, other challenges that await you. Each will test your friendship, your courage, and your resolve." Ashley's heart raced. "What kind of challenges?" "Challenges that will reveal your true selves," the figure replied cryptically. "You will face choices that will shape your destinies. But fear not. You will not face them alone. Your bond will be your greatest strength." The friends exchanged glances, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through them. "What do we have to do?" Paige asked, her voice steady. "Step through the mirror," the figure instructed, gesturing toward the swirling portal. "Embrace the unknown. Your next adventure awaits." Brad took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. "Are we ready for this?" Caitlin squeezed his hand, her eyes shining with determination. "We've come this far. We can't turn back now." Mary-Kate nodded, her voice firm. "Together." Ashley looked at each of her friends, her heart swelling with love and gratitude. "I wouldn't want to do this with anyone else." With a shared nod, they stepped forward, hand in hand, their hearts pounding in unison. As they crossed the threshold of the mirror, the world around them dissolved into a whirlwind of colors and sensations. The air was electric, filled with the scent of blooming flowers and the sound of distant laughter. They landed softly on a grassy knoll, the sun shining brightly overhead. The landscape stretched out before them, a vibrant tapestry of colors and sounds. Lush trees swayed gently in the breeze, and the distant sound of a bubbling brook filled the air. "Where are we?" Caitlin asked, looking around in awe. "I think we're in a new world," Brad replied, his eyes wide with wonder. "But it feels familiar. Look." Paige pointed toward a path winding through the trees, lined with flowers that glowed softly in the sunlight. "Should we follow it?" "Definitely," Ashley said, her excitement bubbling over. "Let's see where it leads." As they made their way down the path, the atmosphere shifted, becoming more enchanting with each step. The flowers seemed to hum with life, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming jasmine. Laughter echoed in the distance, drawing them closer. "What if this is some kind of trap?" Mary-Kate whispered, glancing nervously at the others. "We'll face it together," Brad reassured her, his grip tightening around her hand. "Whatever it is, we can handle it." As they approached a clearing, the laughter grew louder, and they stepped into a vibrant festival scene. Colorful banners fluttered in the breeze, and people danced joyfully, their faces lit with happiness. The atmosphere was electric, filled with music and laughter. "Wow," Caitlin breathed, her eyes wide. "This is incredible. Look at all the food," Ashley exclaimed, pointing to a table laden with delicious treats. The aroma of freshly baked bread and sweet pastries wafted through the air, making their stomachs rumble. "Let's eat," Paige suggested, her eyes sparkling with excitement. As they made their way toward the table, a figure approached them, a tall woman with flowing hair and a warm smile. "Welcome, travelers. You've arrived just in time for the Festival of New Beginnings." "New beginnings?" Brad echoed, intrigued. "Yes," the woman replied, her eyes twinkling. This festival celebrates the courage to embrace change and the strength of friendship.